Here are 5 adjustments to make to your strength training in your 30s. So, the first adjustment is just choosing joint friendly exercises. So, what joint friendly exercises mean is just simply exercises that aren't going to be as taxing on your joints as other movements would be. So, for instance, a movement that requires more range of motion will usually require more joint range of motion. So, let's just think between a bench press and a floor press, both with the barbell. The barbell floor press may be easier on the joint if you have shoulder range of motion limitations, or some type of elbow issue. So, you're not going through that full range of motion there. So choosing exercises that are a little bit easier on the joints can be a great way and is a great way. I've used them with a ton of my clients as far as helping them get through their training and build strength without really beating up their joints a lot. And I'm pretty sure that's what everyone wants. You want to build strength without breaking down your body. So, especially when you're in your 30s, this becomes more challenging because you have more wear and tear on your body, especially if you've been training for an extended period of time or if you've been inactive and then you're just starting to get into it. Maybe you got into it in your late 20s and now you're in your 30s and you're getting into it, or you got into it in your 20s or your 30s. With that in mind, another option to think about is use different implements. So using dumbbells, kettlebells, or landmines more in your training as well. So using those different implements just gives your limbs more freedom to move when you're performing these movements. So think about a barbell overhead press compared to a dumbbell overhead press. If you have mobility limitations, doing that dumbbell press will be easier on the shoulder than doing the barbell press. And your body naturally goes to the area that has the least resistance to that movement compared to being locked down with the barbell. Doesn't mean you can't train with the barbell at all. It just means you have to choose those exercises more appropriately for you and where you are, and then also work on those mobility limitations that you may have because of, it could be from a job, work, it could be sport, it could be hobby, whatever your body started to adapt to, or just past injuries that have built up over time and you never really kind of work through those mobility limitations at all. So those are the two main things when you think about joint friendly exercises: potentially reducing the range of motion of the exercise or using different implements. So the second thing is paying closer attention to recovery and nutrition. So eating better quality more often and with the right intent. So eating better quality foods. This does not mean being on a strict diet. One big mistake people make when they're in their 30s and they may have gotten a little bit away from the figure that they used to have is, okay, they got to do something drastic. So they go to a crash diet. But that doesn't build the skills in order to maintain that shape. Okay. We used to get away with a lot of things in our 20s when it came to eating and nutrition and rest and recovery. But when you're in your 30s, you can't get away with those same things. You have to start to dial things in a little bit more. So eating quality foods more often and with the right intent is going to be huge. So more quality foods, whole foods, so closer to its natural state, right? So not with all the fillers and the things that are going to cause more digestive stress. And then also with the quantity, how much you're eating of these foods, right? So you have to eat enough in order to fuel your body with the energy that it needs in order to perform at its best, right? So if you're strength training for sure, you need to give it enough in order to build back up after you broke it down from that session. And if you don't give it enough, then you're going to just continuously go into this breakdown state instead of actually building back up or break down and then adapt and then come at a higher level of adaptation from your training. Okay. And then the intent behind it. So if you're trying to build strength and you're trying to get stronger, but you want to look a certain way and now you're restricting the amount of food that you eat, you're doing yourself a disservice. Instead, you can just change the amounts of different foods that you're eating, or just eating more quality foods typically allows you to pay attention to your hunger cues and know what your body actually needs. And then it allows you to build up and then also sometimes do both at the same time, get the figure that you actually want. So this isn't about like just body composition for body composition's sake, but also for long-term health purposes as well. The other thing behind intent is also rushing your eating. So if you're Very busy person. Obviously, when we're in our 30s, we got a lot going on in life. You may have career aspirations and you're trying to put more effort into work. You may have a family that you're providing for right now at the moment, or you have to take care of, cooking meals, taking care of the kids or whatnot. You may be taking care of family members at this stage in your life. So there's a lot of moving parts that's going on in here. So with that in mind, you have to be very mindful of how you decide to eat. Now, some foods may not be as whole food appropriate, or may not be the best quality, but it's still closer to a whole food than just a snack. So choosing those foods when life is busy and you got to be on the move, but also at least taking one of your meals and sitting with that meal and eating it in a more slower pace. I'll put it that way, to make sure one, it improves your digestion. Two, you get to really feel your hunger cues so you don't overeat, but you give your body enough of what it actually needs. When you're in a rush, like you're highly stressed, you're in a stress state, and that doesn't allow for, one, again, proper digestion, and then also understanding your hunger cues. So those are like the two main things that you want to think about when it comes to that with the right intent. The other thing here with the recovery and nutrition is honor your body rhythms with sleep. So you have to honor this. Our body goes into it has a rhythm, a circadian rhythm that we have to honor whenever we are trying to improve our strength gains and our capabilities as we age. And if we don't honor this, then we're reducing our ability, one, to recover and be ready for our next day, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally. So if we're under recovered, those take a hit. So we want to make sure we honor our body's natural rhythm. So we're going to bed and waking up at the same time every day within a 30-minute time frame or so. Again, this is a practice that you're trying to establish. If you have other moving parts in your life, understood. But for the most part, the days that you can get more rest, you get more rest. You really honor that cycle that your body goes through. Okay. And then the final thing in this piece is pull back when life stress gets high. So if you have a newborn, you pull back on the stress, right? Because you're not going to be getting as much sleep as you would if an illness happened in the family, or you have some type of illness that came up. Pull back a little bit, allow your body to heal, allow your body to recover, allow yourself to process what's going on in your life at this moment in time in order to move past it with more resilience and capability moving forward. Because if you're trying to stack both at the same time, then that's a recipe for burnout and breakdown. So I don't want that for you. And I know you don't want that either. And you wouldn't promote that to your friend either, your friend or a family member. If this was your friend or your family member in that same situation, you would tell them to, hey, like maybe you need to pull back a little bit on your training or your working out or those things that you're doing. Yes, it's good for your health, but you can make adjustments to your movement selection while you handle the things that are going on in your life. So when life stress is high, hey, it is okay to make adjustments to your training. It's okay. I'm giving you permission to tap into your own intuition and say that it's okay to make adjustments when life stress is high. I can pull back from training right now because the main thing that matters is the long game, not what's right in front of me right now, as far as what I perceive to be the ultimate goal as far as training and strength training. Okay. So I got a little long with it on that one, but I'm very passionate about you making the right decisions so that way you can live the best long-term capable life as possible and get the most out of your strength training that you enjoy. The next thing is time efficiency. So some younger people, because it's not all, but some younger people online, they'll promote these exercise routines that are very extensive, very long, warm-up routines, bedtime routines that fit into a lifestyle that has a lot of time availability. But when it comes to you being in your 30s and you having, let's say, career responsibilities, family obligations that you have going on, you don't have that time freedom that you once did. So you have to make sure, one, your workouts fit your lifestyle and not your lifestyle fitting around your workouts. So you look at your time, you see what time you have available to work out, and then you fit a workout around that time. So if it's only 30 minutes, you figure out, typically it's a full body session, and it may be less overall selection of movements, but you can still get a good training effect from that. And I've done it with not only people who are very active and have a lot of responsibilities going on in their life, but also athletes that I've trained with 2 full body training sessions a week And then also maybe even 3 full body training sessions a week. It doesn't take that much. It just takes the right intent inside of your workouts. Okay. And if you want that whole entire breakdown, I do have on this channel a full body workout blueprint. You can download the PDF and you can listen to the podcast episode there. I'll also link it down in the description box below. So full body workouts, easy to get done. Make sure your workouts fit around your lifestyle. And here's a tip here. So 4 to 6 exercises total within your workout, 3 to maybe 4 sets of each exercise, keeping the movements between 3 to 12 reps. That's typically the blueprint right there. So if you're experienced with working out, you can understand how that can be effective and be efficient. If you're not that experienced with working out, you can look at the guide, like I said before, okay? And that'll guide you through all the steps that you need to go through in order to know what to do. All right, the next thing is mobility limitations. So exercise selection is huge when it comes to mobility limitations. So past injuries, inactivity, or sport, hobby, or work movement adaptations reduces your mobility. So let's just say you've been working in an office for an extended period of time. Let's just say from you were an athlete at one point in time in your 20s, and then you stopped doing that. You started to advance your career. Then you've been sitting at a desk for an extended period of time and you haven't been working out as much. That's going to change up how your body moves. So the exercise selection is going to be totally different than what it would have been if you were active. And this is the key point here. If you try to push through mobility limitations that you have with your exercises, all you're going to do is just put more stress on your joints and potentially cause some type of overuse injury. And this is not what we want. Obviously, we don't want to feel banged up because that's not going to motivate us to go back to working out and to continue training. So we want to make adaptations or changes to the way we structure our workouts based on our movement limitations. So if you have overhead mobility limitations, you just maybe do horizontal pressing. If you have ankle mobility limitations, instead of trying to do full depth back squats, maybe you do trap bar deadlifts, which I consider kind of a hybrid between a deadlift and a squat. Or maybe you do box squats instead of back squats while you work on your ankle mobility. So you make adjustments for the mobility limitations that you do have and not trying to push through those. And the last thing is getting out of your own head. So we may look back at what we were capable of in our early 20s or even our late 20s and want to get back to that. Sometimes it's possible to get back to that level of performance. Other times it may not be because of all the things that you have going on in your life. And that's perfectly fine because you are exchanging one thing that was a part of your life in that segment for other things that are maybe even a more important part of your life at this stage in your life. And you have to reflect on that and be like, hey, it's fine. Instead of kind of getting caught up in the sauce, as they say, of just being like, man, you watch a competition or you'll watch some documentary or sports documentary or something like that. Or maybe a friend accomplished something like they did a race or something. You're just like, dang, like I wish I could do that. Which you can do that, but you have to be smart about your approach to maybe recreationally participating in an activity or a sport. And you have to approach it in a more balanced manner with what your life looks like now, not what you wish it would look like as far as the freedom to train and push as hard as you can for that specific thing, because you have a lot of responsibilities that you have in your life going on right now. And that's not going to be the best for those responsibilities if you decide to take away from that, because life is a balancing act, and it's not getting here. It's deciding on what you're going to focus on for your balanced perspective on life. If you want more relationship health, then yeah, you're going to put more time into your relationship health. If you want more physical well-being and more health there, then you might put more emphasis in that area and maybe a little less, not in the relationship category. Maybe it might be other hobby or another career advancement thing. Or if you're in a stage of your life to where you need more financial stability, you might be focusing in more on finances than you are on actual improving your overall strength, improving your overall endurance, or improving your relationships or whatnot, because you got that to a level to where you're okay with it. And now you want to advance more in your career. So you may focus more on that. It's accepting where you are and what you decide is your focus at this point in time in your life, and what and it falls in line with your values. That's a huge thing there too. But I won't get long-winded with that and get on my soapbox. But when it comes to strength training in your 30s, you want to make sure that you do hit those main things: joint-friendly exercises, closer attention to recovery and nutrition, time-efficient workouts, working around mobility limitations, and getting out of your own head. Those are like some key things that will help you move forward with better purpose and direction. If you have any questions, put them down in the comment section below. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one.